But anyway, it was the early 80s when I joined a school band then, because I always was actually singing in music class. They I sung for grades, for so getting notes, you know what I mean? So I always got the one, which is the A, whatever it is in England, I don't know. But it's a one, it's a very good. And that really helped me a lot to be motivated to keep doing what I do. And so I started singing in a school band, like, I mean, many musicians did at that time. And yeah, we just was singing through a plastic microphone into a cassette recorder. You know, that's how it all started. And we did Sweet Home Alabama, I remember. And then it's really felt something. This is something special, you know. So and then it got a little bit more pro when we really got a rehearsing room then with my mates, and we just did cover songs at the beginning until we started to compose our own music. And then we had gigs, and that was the first time when you stand in front of a crowd. I was really nervous, and it was hard to sing back in the days with the nervousness you have at the time.
Yeah.
But I got used to that, and then it turned into adrenaline, and that's a good thing. Now, since then, I was addicted, so you never get rid of it.
Yeah. Do you still get nervous to this day?
5 minutes before the show, there's this healthy thing of nervousness that you really have to be focused in the end. So the cocktail of adrenaline and the nervousness you have is just really healthy to do a good show.
Hmm. And you've always felt like you could sing to a certain extent, but you've also done a lot of work on your voice. What do you think the balance is between that? Do you think anyone can sing, or do you think you need a certain amount of talent to grow that talent?
I think it's the same thing with guitar players. They have skills, but it always comes back to how the music ends up. You know, I mean, there's simple songs out there. There's simple songs to sing, which are world hits, and it's not only about the singing. It's not only about the guitars. It's not only about the drums, the bass, and so forth. It's the whole chemistry in the whole song which has to work. Coming back to your questions, I always felt that I can really go low and really high, and I try to use that in our music, of course, and that's what I do with Primal Fear as well. So, but if the song doesn't need to be very low or very high, you just set certain spices, like you could go high here, you could go high there, just, and if it's not really working out in the song, if it doesn't fit, why not staying just with one melody line, a simple one? Because in the end, you know, the fans sing along with the song, and they want to sing it somehow, even if it's an octave lower or whatever. But I think you get the point what I mean. So you don't really have to do all the gymnastics with your voice for every song. But the good thing is that it's there and you can do it, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's nice to have that tool, but it is a tool, I guess, in the end. It isn't the be all and end all of singing.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah. So you've been in the industry for a while. How has it changed over the years?
Well, it changed in terms of recordings, of course. The whole items have changed. You know, the tools you have nowadays. It's like we are recording now this show on Pro Tools. It's the same with vocals, whatever. I mean, I started with a 24-track tape back in the days with my first band, Tire and Pace, the first recording band, and of course we did that with Gamma Ray as well. So in terms of working tools you have, it changed a lot because technique just really evolved like crazy. And in terms of business, it always was a little bit of another down. In the 80s, there was this peak when I was still a kid and I was not in the band, like I said, but started my thing. There was this new wave of British heavy metal that as we all know, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Black Sabbath, and so forth, and also the German band Scorpions, which is not British, of course. But anyway, there was a peak of the hard rock heavy metal genre. And since then, in my opinion, there's always this healthy amount of people listening to it. And these people are the real fans who still buy physical CDs of physical music, you know what I mean? So having even the vinyl in hand or the physical stuff, and they read the lyrics and have the sheets, it's something really special to them. So compared to nowadays, the kids, they have MP3 files, and if they hear then the difference of sound quality of a vinyl or a CD and the MP3, then they start to think over it again, which is a good thing nowadays. Again, they think again that, well, maybe we should get some better quality. So it's a little bit, yeah. What I'm saying is, you know, there's always in heavy metal, there's always this heavy, this healthy certain base of people who are listening to the stuff, which are filling concerts, which are going to festivals like Wacken in Germany, for instance, or Monsters of Rock all around the world, wherever it is. So that's a good thing, you know. People still gather together to have a good time to heavy metal.
Yeah, of course. Why do you think people are attracted to heavy metal? Because as you say, it kind of spans a lot of ages. Like young people get into it as well. And it's obviously not the mainstream genre, but people still love it.
Yeah, but I think it's just a certain feeling of honest things coming from the stage. You know, people on stage who are living exactly what they're doing on stage, and you know, it's kind of give and take. It's I always say it's a big family, even if you are on stage as a musician or if you are a fan downstairs. We both need each other, so you know that's a good chemistry. And yeah, people coming and younger people are coming. That's what we also recognize when we do our world tours. And that's just great because I mean they feel the energy coming from hard rock and heavy metal music, and still having the melody. I mean, you have so many examples where it's not the case, but there's also good examples where it's the case that you still have the hook lines, the melodies, and the quality in the music, and people can really judge and hear that.
Yeah, I think even if you're not a musician, you know when it's good quality music, when you're listening to something that's good. And people can't always put their finger on it, but they know.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So one of my main questions, I put out an Instagram, what would you ask Ralph message, and
And
one of the main questions is that people have felt that you've improved from your early days in Gamma Ray and through to Primal Fear, and your voice has grown and grown and grown. How have you managed to do that, especially as you've aged as well?
first of all, thank you for the compliment. And yes, I mean, you know, that's you always somehow try to improve. Whenever you say, well, I'm satisfied, I keep it that way, then maybe you should retire. You know,
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say is you always try to go up the ladder and the downstairs, right? So that's also with singing, that's with composing, that's with everything in your life because your view is up front and not to the back. But coming back to the voice, I mean, it's of course, it's when you sing a lot, I mean, I have records where I really say I would love to record this again with my voice nowadays because you're learning so much in the recording process, in the writing process, in the live process over the years. And then if you look back, you still like what you did back then, but you want it in terms of sound and the sound of the voice you have, you want to re-record it. And it's a certain, yeah, it's a mature. It's in the voice, which is really somehow like a good wine. When a wine gets old, it tastes better. So that's how people also compare my voice to my younger days. And I'm really grateful and I'm really happy that it's still the case and that I have my tools to keep myself, you know, fit in terms of vocal healthiness and vocal, vocal health, right? So that's what we spoke last time with my all the tools I have, inhaling stuff and trying to be healthy on tour, not drink so much, sleep a lot, and so forth. Sometimes it's not possible, and then comes the rock and roll factor again, where you think, well, it's just the case, just accept it how it is, and you have to do it.
Yeah, and I suppose there's so many people from your sort of era who their voice has diminished throughout the years, but you're not one of those people. You've looked after your voice, and how have you done that?
I wouldn't say. Well, it's not. Well, I have my fatigues. So when I'm on tour, for instance, it's not easy when you do this 3-4 weeks, 3-4 months in a row. And then, of course, you try to really not speak the whole day. I mean, everybody's also really different. Everybody's unique, you know. So maybe Bon Scott back in the days did it every day and still was going out having fun or whatever. I couldn't do that. I have to really relax and take care that I don't speak so much during the day and that I do my exercises I do. So yeah, I mean, I'm really happy. Like I say, it's almost 40 years of screaming and singing now, and I'm really happy that it's still there. Without saying that I don't feel that something's going on, but I have to really warm up my voice and then it's back.
And what would your warm up entail? What do you have in a warm up?
Well, I do the bubbles, like all this stuff. All the other vocal teachers teach you as well. I have the straw. which also helps me a lot to have no more stress with my fellow musicians, because I was screaming around like crazy before the show, and it was really loud. I was really pissed on my own, because it was I couldn't hear it on my own anymore, screaming around, but I had to do it to warm up. So now, since I have the straw and I'm warming up with the straw, it's really taking away the volume and the loudness. So that's great, and it still works great. So that's a good thing to warm up. And then I do my individual Scheepers internal scream, this kind of thing, and that really
I
helps.
love that.
Yeah, that really that helps to me to get my vocal folds really working.
Great. So, what a lot of my Instagram followers have been really curious about is your relationship with Judas Priest and how you met them. I know we had a bit of discussion before and about how you met them, and you originally were a fan. So, and now you know them. So, that's really interesting. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, the relationship is not really a relationship. It's just I back in the days in Gamma Ray, when Rob was out of Judas Priest, I sent out an application just out of fun, and I didn't really think there's feedback or whatever. But then the letter came back that they're interested, and I was really happy. But in the end, we all know what happened. They had Ripper and so forth, which is a fantastic singer and totally fit into Judas Priest back in the days. And we're all happy that everything is like it is, like Primal Fear was born and so forth, But I never was invited for the audition, and of course, in first place you are disappointed. But on the other hand, then again, just look forward and go your own way, and think positive, and that's what I did. We first met when they were in Stuttgart, my hometown, then with the Ripper era, where Ripper Owens was the singer of Priest, and they said, well, it was the first time we met, and they really said, you hear what's going on, he's fantastic. And they were really nice, so it's all good, and it's all on a really friendly level. And still now when we meet, I mean, I'm also friends with Ralf, it's just imagine, it was my idol and everything, and now he's been friends with such a great human being. He's just really wonderful person. And all the Priest guys are, and that's just great, because I think I still have the opinion that if somebody is well talented and you stay humble still, that's just a great thing to do. That's what you can give back to the people. Just being friendly on an honest level, not playing a role or something, but you really feel that it's coming from the heart when you speak to a person.
Do you find that most of the people who are at this high level, do you find that they're humble, or do you get a mix of people?
Yeah, most, I would say 90% are humble.
Yeah, and it's so nice because people
there's always these 10% we think, oh, what a dick. Sorry.
No, you're allowed to say it. Yeah, it's so nice to hear that though, because there's a bit of a misconception, and maybe because the people who are mean get the press a little bit more. So there's a misconception that people who are successful are also horrible people and have had to stamp on other people to get there, but it's just not true.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's also the management, but we as musicians, sometimes that's good that we have those people who are somehow protecting us, because it's getting too much, it's really getting too much, and you don't want to be the person saying, "I'm sorry, fuck off" or whatever, but because that's not what you are, because that's your fans, and you cannot treat people like that who are really adoring you and buying your stuff. But if just imagine if there's 1 or 2 or 3 persons, maybe you can handle that on your own. But if this all of a sudden there's 300 or 400 coming to you at a signing session or a listening session or whatever, and everybody will come to you, that will be not possible. And of course, sometimes when you have, sometimes when you walk the streets like that, or even in the venue, whatever, then maybe the opinion comes up, oh, what. He's not down to earth, and he's a rock star behavior, whatever. But sometimes you're just tired, and you just don't want to listen and want to speak to anybody,
Well, that's kind of comes along with being famous, and you've had like your brush-ins with that. And how have you dealt with that when people go absolutely mad and you can't get time alone and things like that?
Well, I mean, then you just have to. You can't do anything anymore. You just have to maybe. Because it makes no sense to freak out. You just have to make party with them or whatever. But as I said before, I'm the guy on the road when I'm doing long tours. I can't speak at all, and just imagine then you speak to many people during the day. You always think about the show because you're pro, right? So really should sometimes it's just I don't speak, but in a friendly way.
Yeah, of course, and I think it's important to
Yeah.
be friendly because I guess like the fans, it's tricky to get that balance, isn't it, between how the fans want to talk to you and spend that time with you, but you also need to make sure that you give them the best show possible. So getting that line is a really fine line to walk.
It is absolutely, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. What have your best moments been throughout the years of performing?
It's just always great to stand on stages like Wacken, the big festival where you can see people to the horizon, in all these big festivals, but also the club shows. It's all, it very, very, very unique things, because in the club shows you have contact to the people to the first row, whatever. And on festivals, you just go out no matter what you do. It's loud and it's just amazing. And there's a lot of